It appears that a video that I made a little over a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, about GTA 6 possibly pushing for the $100 base game price, maybe I was a little bit wrong on that. So I take full responsibility. Doom, doom, doom.
Whoa!
That's right. There are some new things that have come out with a new Doom Dark Ages video game that's about to drop at the end of May. Actually, in the middle of May. I think it's the Ides of May. That's going to drop then, and the one of the video directors is coming out and he's talking about it. So let's get into this because this might have the repercussions that GTA 6 was supposedly going to do. So maybe they're undercutting them a little bit. Now, Doom the Dark Ages takes a dark toll on your wallet and hardware. We have known this for a little bit, not about the wallet part, but about the hardware, because this is peak development. I'm not going to sit here and just fillet it forever because I do love these games and I also have an insider who works on these games, so I'm a little bit biased, but you can't deny when you watched it wasn't state of play, but whenever you watched the game announcements and everything like that, Doom was by far at the top of everyone's list on what they're excited for. So get out of here with that. Now, Doom the Dark Ages may have a medieval setting, but is poised to push the gaming world into the future with its high price and hardware demands. Now, the price is the thing that I'm most concerned with because when we talked about this with the GTA 6 thing, like starting a base level $100 video game, it's like, okay, is that actually going to be worth it? Is that trying to set a trend? But the upcoming game, one of the most important FPS franchises, yeah, has an £80 asking price in Europe for its base edition. And here's the thing about it, there's no multiplayer component. And they specifically did not designed it this way so they could put all of their assets and effort into a single player, absolute bombastic affair. So, as executive producer Marty Stratton stated, we made that decision early so we could really just go all in on the campaign. It's our largest, most expensive, most epic campaign ever. So, this is not something just to quell the fears. If there were any fears, anybody thinking like, well, but maybe what if? It's like, no, they designed the game specifically because, like, yeah, it's going to cost more, but we're putting everything into it. It is going to turn heads. It is going to wow the audience. Girls will be flashing us and throwing their pennies on stage. Dudes will be sweaty as they always are. Hugo Martineau, a game director, supported these words by adding that that's why we were able to put the dragon and the mech in the game, which they've named Atlan. I mean, there are things we wanted to do in the game for like multiple times in a row now, but couldn't because we had a multiplayer component, which does take up a lot more time, effort, and that's kind of something where you have to constantly be watching it and updating it. But really, it was meant to just focus on the single player campaign and just level up that experience for players. Now, this is something that actually intrigues me quite a bit because if they're going full on expansive with just a single player game and they're this confident in it, they know they could charge this amount. They feel confident that you will say that it was well worth your money and time. Oh my gosh, what do we have in store for us? That's the way that I'm kind of thinking about it right now. I'm also not huge on multiplayer games. I don't really do it that much. I just do it for like party games with friends and stuff. But for serious stuff like this, I'm way past my Call of Duty Halo days. Now, while all this sounds impressive, it's important to note that Doom has long been a game that revolutionized, yeah, not just in gameplay, but multiplayer gaming. So they were at the forefront of the first like multiplayer gaming experience, and at least in the way that made it not only accessible to everybody, but made it one of those things of like, okay, this is another aspect of a game that we have our single player, we have our campaign, and then this game lives on in eternity with the multiplayer options. So, although the last two Doom games have had multiplayer, Doom Eternal, it didn't really pop off that much. The multiplayer was riddled with problems and wasn't well received. Instead of eliminating the multiplayer mode, Stratton and Martin could have focused on proving all that. But what they wanted to do was just make this one as badass as possible. That's what I'm getting from them, and that's everything that they're saying. Now, at least they could have tried it for the asking price, for instance. Okay, this is where this is some cope. And this is a huge topic of debate. Everyone could debate on all sides. The floor is open, free reign. The author of this article is saying that at least they could have tried it for the asking price. At least they could have tried to put out shitty multiplayer. If you're going to ask that much, at least you could try to have something that's shitty, which is going to make the game tank even more, because once that word of mouth gets out, it's going to be like a Fallout 76 on release. No, I disagree with this. Go all in or don't do it at all. But this is just him. This is just his stance. For instance, Call of Duty Black Ops is also 80 pounds with competitive multiplayer. That's okay, well, whatever. Also, no. I'm calling it quits right here. I'm nixing this right now. Call of Duty is a multiplayer game that happens to have a solo campaign. Nobody is buying Black Ops or any Call of Duty game nowadays for the campaign. So this is an argument that I don't think holds water. They also go on to talk about Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree edition. That's coming at the same price, but that is highly expensive. That's a lot of game. So we're expecting, what are we expecting? We're expecting a lot of game. And there's something that they're going to have to go into right now, and they're fixing to, that is going to try to, give them a little bolster. When you think about it, Doomslayer goes a step further. It makes technology made prior to 2018 obsolete. So if it's making all the technology obsolete, we better be in for something absolutely huge. And from what we saw in the trailers and everything like that, it absolutely does. So anyone who wants to shoot down demons will need a ray tracing capable graphics card. And this is where we get into the nitty gritty, which I don't know that much about, because I'd have to go to my settings. I have a GeForce RTX and an AMD Ryzen 7000 series. So let's see. Okay, I can play it. NVIDIA RTX 2060. Yeah, I can play it. Bare minimum of 16 gig. Yeah, it's easy. AMD Ryzen 7. Yeah. We're cool. For nerds, a lot of people aren't going to know what this means, but it will hit them a little bit, and the capabilities that maybe an older machine couldn't put up with. But I think that the gamers that will truly be into this already know that going ahead. And maybe that's another reason why we need to put this information out now. It's like, hey man, you want a little upgrade? You've been wanting it for a little bit. Maybe if you got a good woman, it is Valentine's Day. You just elbow her and it's like, hey, I need a new graphics card. You know how much I spend on you? And just to put it back down, I mean, you can read through all of these little things that half of it I don't freaking understand. Basically, you need a more upgraded computer or a newer computer or something. I would assume that if you have a gaming laptop or if you have a gaming PC, that you've already thought about this before time. It might test some limits of things, but I think you should be fine as long as you're not playing on a Gateway 2000. Now, while these demands aren't much of a surprise, and this is actually a game that everyone thought was going to flop, but everyone actually ended up loving. It was Indiana Jones: The Full Circle. Their system requirements were massive. Needed 512 gigs or higher of NVMe SSD. Now, The Dark Ages, which is coming out, by the way, I have to say it again, May 15th, 2025. That's right here in just basically 2 months exactly. 3 months exactly. My math is horrible. Is ushering in a new era of gameplay performance and visual fidelity. Now, this is why we're getting it out there early. If it's time for you to upgrade, if you've been sitting back on it and not wanting to do it for a long time, now is the time to get in on it, because it will push the boundaries of what gaming goes into the future. And that's what I want to see about all of this, pushing gaming into the future. People with actual ideas, not just regurgitating old IPs and upgrading them for a new system that's 25 years old. No, they're actually creating things new. And I will stand and die on this hill. The game can suck, but at least they're trying new things again. This is like indie films. I know I'm going to bring it back to films. I'm more of a movie guy, but it's like putting effort, time, and money into an indie film and making sure that it's the best thing possible. At least you tried to push the boundaries, because that's the only way that innovation happens, is by pushing past the limits that everyone told you were limited by. If you guys have anything to say about this, please leave it down in the comment section below. Multi from the GCA, thank you once again so dadgum much for 1,000 subscribers and counting. We ain't going nowhere, baby. Y'all have a great day. We love you. Bye-bye.
Listen.
Not just... Excuse me, I had to burp.